Hi, I'm Brian Collins, thanking you for purchasing the Flowbee. Now you can get a professional precision haircut the fun and easy way with virtually no cleanup, as all the hair goes right up into your vacuum. The Flowbee is ergonomically designed for ease of operation, and it's constructed of high-impact plastic that is light and extremely durable to provide many years of service and enjoyment. Now, if you haven't already done so, remove all the contents from your box and set them in front of you. You should have the Flowbee head with hose, the power transformer that plugs into the wall, 2 large spacers, 2 medium spacers, and 2 small spacers, 2 medium angle spacers, 1 angle foot, 1 straight foot, a bottle of Flowbee blade lubricant, a universal vacuum hose adapter, the user's guide, and the warranty card, and of course the video that you're watching. If any of the parts are missing, contact the place of purchase for replacements. Now that you've familiarized yourself with the Flowbee and all of its components, let's get started by connecting the Flowbee hose end to your vacuum. If needed, this universal adapter can be used to create a good seal for proper suction of hair. Remember, proper suction is the key to getting great-looking haircuts with no cleanup. Now, plug the transformer into the wall and connect the small end to the Flowbee hose where it connects to the vacuum. Now, it's important the first time you use your Flowbee to apply 3 small drops of lubricant to the blades, like this. Then turn on the motor to spread the oil around. Always do this before each use, especially if your Flowbee hasn't been used for a while. Now, the key to the Flowbee and getting great-looking haircuts is the spacers. Each spacer has 2 tabs and 2 slots that interlock. Practice putting them together and taking them apart like this. Remember, you only have to gently pinch the center of the spacer near the tabs while holding the other piece. You set the spacers for the length of hair that you want to cut and attach them to the Flowbee head. Now you're ready to turn on just the vacuum first to get used to the hair being sucked into the Flowbee. This is also a good time to verify that the right amount of hair is being sucked into the Flowbee. You may want to start with a smaller amount first, then reduce the spacer height later if a shortcut is desired. Now turn on the Flowbee motor and start with the longest part of your hair. An up and down bouncing motion works best, always moving around to another area. Now, in some areas of your head, you may want to use shorter spacers, and in other areas, add more spacers for longer hair. The choice is now up to you to get the kind of haircut you like. Joining us now is Gary, who's going to give us some tips and techniques for cutting men's hair. Gary, what can you tell us today?
Well, Brian, I've been cutting my hair a variety of ways over the past 4 years with the Flowbee. Right now, how I got my hairstyle right now is I have it longer through the top and shorter in through the sides.
How do you do that?
Well, I use these spacers. These are what determine the length of your hair. And what you want to do is you want to take your hair, you want to pull it up so you can determine the length that you want according to the spacer.
Okay, got
so you
it.
can see there's about a ½ inch sticking up.
Yes.
And that's what would get cut. And what you would do is you'd run that all through, well, all over the head, because it's all going to be one length, understanding that you're going to take it shorter in through the sides.
All right.
So I would take it all over, cutting it all one length. Then after I got done with that, I want to take it in shorter through the sides. So what I would do then is I would use some shorter spacers. Let's say I would use this and maybe this would bring it down. And what I would do, Brian, is I would take this in through the sides and just bounce it in through here. Now, the important thing, a lot of people ask, how do you keep the hair from blending in from long to short? Well, what you want to do is you want to keep this thing perfectly perpendicular to your head, never following the contour of the head. Because if you do that, then you're going to cut the top hair.
Right,
and you're going to bring it in shorter.
Okay, that makes sense.
So what you want to do is, as you're cutting it, make sure that thing is perfectly perpendicular like that, never following the contour. And you want to do that on the same. And then you take it in through the back.
All right.
Now, an added feature that the Flowbee has is this tapered spacer. A lot of men like to use the tapered spacer. And what that allows you to do, it gives you an angled cut. Cuts it in shorter in through the ears and leaves it longer in through the sides.
Got it.
So again, you'd balance it the same way. Take it in it through the back, all the way across. And that's how we're in my hair right now.
What about a lot of kids like trendier haircuts? They like it very short here and then long.
Right.
Or any variation on that. Can they do that with this?
Yeah, same principle. The only difference, I pretty much have that kind of trendy haircut, other than all I'd have to do is just take it in real short in through the sides. And what we do is just use the foot. And you just cut it real short in through there. And on both sides, and then just leave this long, however, whatever length you want it.
Gary, what other kinds of haircuts can you do with the Flowbee?
One that I especially like, and I'll probably go back to using it again because it's so effective and efficient, is cutting it all one length. Cutting it all one length, Brian, allows me to cut my hair in maybe about 2 to 3 minutes. And what you do is you determine the length that you want, again by pulling the hair up, measuring the hair and what's going to be cut off. And then what you would do is just bounce it all over your head. And that takes literally about 2 minutes.
Oh.
So if you want an efficient, fast haircut, cut it all one length.
Going back to the 60s, what about flat tops or buzz cuts?
Flat tops are easy to do. I had a flat top about a year ago with the Flowbee, and what I did is I cut it full through the sides, and how I did that is I got a spacer. That's the length that I wanted on the sides. So I cut it all the way through the sides and through the back, and then through the top, what I did is I used a shorter spacer, and I just ran that through the top.
Okay.
And so it gave me the flat top look. And if you want the buzz, obviously what you want to do is take all the spacers and just use the foot, and that'll cut your hair about a ½ inch.
Gary, it seems like with the Flowbee, you can do any kind of a cut imaginable. And of course, with kids these days, we're talking about any kind of a cut imaginable.
Absolutely. That's one of the great things about the Flowbee is that you can experiment. You can create.
God, kids are willing to do that these days. Not me.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Joining us now is Kathy, who's going to give us tips and techniques for cutting the ladies' hair. Kathy, how does it work?
Well, first thing you do is take the spacers and position them on your head, and you can see in any hair that's above, that's what would come off.
That's about 1¼ inch.
I actually would not like to take that much off at a time.
Okay.
I only like to take off maybe 1/4 to ½ inch.
So is it better to start with larger spacers?
Yes, it's better to start with longer spacers, and your spacers can come off at 1/4 inch increments. That's the way it was designed. That way you can get your hair just like you want it and keep it that way. And you never have to look as if you got a haircut. It always looks the same. So that would be about right.
Perfect.
If I wanted to start cutting my hair now. When I cut my hair, I just put the Flowbee on my head and kind of bounce it up and down, and I always cut the top first and get it just the length that I want, and make sure that you bounce it up and down so that the vacuum pulls the hair up into the spacers. And that now I'm ready to go to the sides. And on the sides, I personally like to use a wedge cut. So I take the angle spacers and go around the sides with the angle spacers. Then I like it to be very close around my ears, so I take the angle spacers off, and then I just go right around my ears, and I get a nice layered wedge cut.
Is that all the way around the back too?
Yes, I do the back.
And
you can see how that angles.
Got it.
And I love it. I always get just the haircut I want.
How long does it take you to cut your hair on the average?
If I don't change it in any way, I can cut my hair probably in 5 minutes.
How often do you do that?
If I want to keep it like I am right now, I'll cut it maybe every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Just so I never look as if I need a haircut, and I never look as if I just got one.
Oh.
But it's so easy to change your hair. Like when I want to let my hair grow longer, I just let it grow longer where I want it to grow longer, and then come in shorter where I want it to be short. I've had my hair all kinds of ways. I've had kind of like a mushroom cut. I've had it real short. I just like to experiment with the Flowbee. You can get very creative.
And now Kathy's going to demonstrate on Vicki how the Flowbee works on long straight hair. Kathy?
Okay, all you do, you don't really need a spacer on the Flowbee when you do the long straight hair. And you take a comb and comb it down straight, and then just take your Flowbee and the vacuum will pull the hair into the cutters, and then just take your comb and just trim it right on the edges. And this keeps all the dead edges trimmed away. And that's all you do to keep the hair nice and trimmed for long straight hair. Now if she wanted a layer cut, we could take and pull all of her hair on top of her head and put a rubber band around it. Then take the Flowbee and take all of our spacers, position all of our spacers, and just run it up and down, flow it up and down, and then when we take the rubber band down, her hair would flow into a nice layered haircut.
God, that sounds so easy.
It really is. And everyone just loves the Flowbee.
A layered haircut in 5 minutes?
Just about.
This is a new concept.
Yes, it is. But I have done it before, and it really is nice.
And now Vicki would like her bangs cut, and Kathy's going to show us how. Kath?
Yes, all you do is you take the spacers and position it again on top of the head, and you can see what's over. That's all that's going to come off. As you can see, Flowbee's just taking off a little bit of hair, and it's trimming her bangs just like she wants it. And it's a bouncy motion that I go up and down, and her hair is perfect, and it feathers the bangs so nice. It's as simple as that.
Kathy is now going to work on Molly's hair to show us how the Flowbee works on short, straight hairstyles.
All you do is take your spacer and position it on the head, and you can see anything above, that's what's going to come off.
It's about a ½ inch or so, isn't it?
Yeah, that really, yes, that probably is. And if she didn't want that much off, which she probably wouldn't, I would add another spacer to this. And then we'd just take about a ½ inch off for her on the top. And then I would come around the sides and use the wedge cut, or our angle spacers to make the wedge cut, as you can see. And then, again, like mine, when you want to get very close, then you have to take the last spacer. You can hold this up and come around and get a shorter wedge cut on the bottom.
So with a
And then
little
bring this down.
imagination, you can do anything with this?
Yes. Be sure when you do the sides that you hold the spacers perpendicular. Always. You always go perpendicular around for the sides. The top you can go all which ways, but around the sides you always want to hold the spacer perpendicular. Now you can see that's all there is to it. And Molly's got her nice haircut.
Kathy and Molly, thank you for being with us and showing us how easy it is to do women's hairstyles with the Flowbee. Now here are a few helpful hints to remember. Before cutting your hair, always familiarize yourself with the spacers. They are the secret to getting a good cut. Be sure to get the best connection possible to your vacuum. The more suction, the better. Use the universal hose adapter if the Flowbee hose doesn't make a tight seal connection to your vacuum. Make sure your vacuum bag is empty to start with, and check it during the cut. The Flowbee will give you years of service and fun while giving you professional-looking precision haircuts at home. If you're unsure of any area of operation, you might want to review this tape again and/or the Flowbee User's Guide. Thanks again for purchasing the Flowbee Precision Home Haircutting System. Enjoy.